I want to talk about my experience applying to an accelerator. I thought it would be quite interesting hearing it from somebody who hadn't ever really been exposed to that kind of world before. So I applied to an accelerator for a few reasons. I wanted mentorship. I've been doing as much of this business stuff as I can myself. You don't get very far on your own, do you? And also I wanted that cash injection. I've bootstrapped this with money that I've earned photographing weddings at the weekends, and that sort of limited me and held me back in some respects. And lastly, I just wanted to meet new people. So a few days before the accelerator, I was feeling quite confident because I'd just hit a milestone with my business. I'd reached 100 customers and kind of felt like this was a metric that validated what I was building. But that confidence didn't last long. About a day before I went to Newcastle for my final interview, I started to doubt myself as a founder. I was pretty certain that everybody there would be miles ahead of me, which actually isn't a bad thing. If you're in a room with everybody who's ahead of you in business, then it's a very good opportunity to learn. But I was just feeling nervous. Now here's the thing about me. I'm very much a let's just build this and see what happens. Let's just do this and see what happens kind of person. I'm not very methodical. I think that went against me when it came to the accelerator. You have to go in with a very clear roadmap of where your business is going, what your next step is, where you see yourself taking it. The impression I get is that the kind of bigger that you can think, the more ambitious that you can think, the better. So I arrived in Newcastle for my final interview. It turns out that we're all in a similar place. Indy, will you stop making so much noise? Turns out that we're all in a similar place. We're all just kind of starting out and just starting to get traction. We all had one thing in common. We're there because we believe in what we're building and we want a bit of help with it. Because you're in the same boat as all of these people, you end up bonding really quickly and making friends with people quicker than you would under other circumstances. The only thing I knew going into this was the format of the day, that there were going to be workshops and they were actually more valuable than most of the conferences that I've attended. And then there was going to be office hours with the accelerator themselves. That was kind of your final interview to see if you're going to get investment. And you would have meetings with other startup founders, people who'd started their own business, with VCs, investors, that kind of thing. The night before, I really tried to crunch all of my numbers so that I could go in and be prepared for any questions that they'd ask me. So I went in knowing my market size, which is 2 million. There's 2 million freelancers in the UK. Knowing who my audience was, knowing as much about my business as I possibly could, how many quotes I'd given out, how many of those converted and became customers, what the conversion rate was, where we were getting our customers, all of that stuff I knew off the top of my head. But there was one thing that I didn't know, one important thing, and that was I did not know the difference between a VC and an angel investor. That's how far removed I was from that whole world. Being in that room and knowing that I had 3 meetings, 2 with VCs and 1 with an angel investor, and I had to Google the difference between VC and an angel investor. I had to Google it. I might edit this out because that's kind of embarrassing. My first meeting with the VCs, there were 2 of them. They were very stony-faced, they were very serious, they were very scary. I went in there completely naive. Hey, I'm Ashley, I'm building this business. The second that I told them my market size and the average commission that I make, they completely lost interest. They didn't even pretend to be politely interested. I no longer existed in that room. I'd had no exposure to that world before. I'd never met a venture capitalist before, and I came away from that thinking, holy, they are scary. By that point, I was pretty much scarred, and I still had like 2 more hours of meetings to endure. After that, I had a meeting with an angel investor. This was like a completely different kettle of fish. I really liked that angel investor. From my perspective, again, somebody who'd never really been exposed to this kind of world before, the impression I get is that VCs, they're interested in billions. not millions, billions. Whereas angel investors, individuals who are kind of investing their own money into businesses. But the angel investor was much more open to what I was working on. In fact, he even kind of liked it. He gave me some great advice about scaling it and expanding into other markets, and he showed a lot of interest in what I was doing. And I kind of went from feeling completely deflated after my meeting with the VCs to feeling like my faith had been restored. And that kind of sums up the whole experience for me in applying to an accelerator. It's a bit of an emotional roller coaster. The bottom line is, if you go into this, if you apply to an accelerator, you are going to be tested, you are going to be challenged, you're going to be asked difficult questions, and you're going to get a different piece of advice from every person that you speak to, and that can be really confusing. I went into it feeling quite proud of myself and what I'd built, and by the end of that first day, I came out of it thinking, Ashley, what are you doing? But it was a really rewarding experience, really, really rewarding, and one of the highlights of my year so far. Now, I did not get investment. Looking back and reflecting on that experience, I think it's very obvious why. Here's what I think. I wasn't thinking big enough. If I went in and said that I was disrupting the insurance industry and that I'd come up with a completely new model, that I would have had a better chance. My market was too small to be attractive to investors. There's 2 million freelancers in the UK, and you're not going to sell them all insurance. Even if you take 10% of the market, that's 200,000. Based on the commission that I'm making right now, that would be around 6 or 7 million a year, which is an extortionate amount of money to me. But like I said, VCs want billions, not millions. And I did not have a clear enough roadmap of where I was taking this thing. Those are the reasons why I think I didn't get investment. Now, if you're applying to an accelerator, if you go in and get all of those things right, you'll have a much better chance than me. But if any of this sounds negative, that couldn't be further from the truth. This has been one of the most amazing experiences. I got exposed to a group of people who are very similar to myself. We're working on our own thing. I've made friends that I'm still in touch with now, and I learned a lot about myself and my business. If you get rejected, suck it up. I'm really good at handling rejection. I spent 2 years pitching with Jack to insurers, asking them to work with me. Trust me, that was 2 years of hearing no. And that was 2 years of steady rejection. But I just kept going because that's how much I love what I'm doing and believe in what I'm doing. And I've gotten to be pretty good at handling rejection as a result of that. If you get rejected, suck it up. It's not personal. It might not be pleasant, but it's also not an excuse to give up. Just realised that whole video was like totally overexposed. Sorry about that, it's quite bright outside. Bye.